This is In Business. I'm Ken Bueller. Thank you for joining us. We're at the Pioneer Log Home, maintained by the Esco Historical Society, right in downtown Esco. This is the old farmhouse for the Kangas family because it was on Kangas Road. And back in the farm days, when everyone lived on the farm, childcare, which is our topic tonight, wasn't a problem. It is a problem today. But back in the day, you lived on the farm, which meant you worked at the farm until you couldn't. And you started working at the farm as soon as you could. And families stayed together, and the young'uns were taken care of by the old folks. Well, that worked great on the farm, but we're not on the farm anymore. Along comes the Industrial Revolution, and all of a sudden, because of the Industrial Revolution and because of union and better wages and conditions, all of a sudden one wage earner could take care of a family, which meant that the other parent could stay home and raise and take care of the children. And that was the beginning of the nuclear family. Well, when that evolved one more time, and two incomes were needed, or you had more single-parent families, that childcare issue became even more critical. That's why we're talking about this evening. There are two major problems with childcare. One is affordability, and the other is availability. And that's what we're talking about on In Business. Economically, we're a long ways from this log cabin in Esco, Minnesota. Today's economy makes childcare a critical issue, and affordability is one of the reasons. According to Childcare Aware, the average cost for childcare in Duluth and northern Minnesota ranges from $199 a week to $282 a week, depending upon the age of the child. Obviously, the higher amount is for a younger child. That's part of the problem. The other part is availability. That means families have to find other alternatives. 40% go to relatives or other family members, usually grandparents. But that's really not sustainable. What we need is a sustainable way into the future. And at childcare, it's critical because they are the future. So that's what we're going to tackle tonight. We'll talk to an Iron Range employer who has a plan and is starting a work around for childcare for their employees that could spread across the Iron Range. We have experts in our discussion that are from here in Duluth that are going to talk about funding for childcare. We have a childcare provider, and we also have an expert on other ways to move into the future to solve this problem. It's coming up on In Business along with an Orange Cone Construction Zone. Welcome to In Business. I'm Ken Bueller. Thank you for joining us. Childcare has become one of the biggest challenges facing working families and employers across the region. Costs are high, availability is limited. And for many businesses, the lack of childcare has made it harder to hire and retain workers. To see how this is playing out on the Iron Range, we visited an employer who's felt these challenges firsthand. We're at Northridge Community Credit Union in Virginia. We're visiting with Liz Pop. Liz is the Vice President of Administration at Northridge Community Credit Union. And we're taking a business look at childcare. And your organization has some challenges.
We do. We've lost approximately 24% of our workforce in the last just over 2 years to those choosing to be stay-at-home moms or just not able to find childcare in general.
And what kind of an impact does that have? Obviously, employee turnover is something that no business looks forward to, but 24%, that's major.
Yeah, that's a really large chunk of our workforce, and it's really hard to find really good employees. That's important, and then training them, getting them up to speed, and waiting for the next one to get pregnant.
As this happens and people choose a family life over a business life, obviously there's a transition. As you say, you're constantly training and bringing in new people, and it's difficult to hire. What could be done about this?
Oh, that's what I'm working on. I'm really working on a flexible benefit options for our employees. And one of those that I want to add into there is a childcare option. So I've been looking really hard into the community. I've partnered up with Rural Pathways and Iron Range Tykes, and they have a 2-tier business model, and it's really investing in human capital for a business. So we're investing in their model and hoping to stabilize the childcare industry, and in turn, I can offer that benefit to our employees.
So this would be a company-sponsored benefit, working with this organization across the Iron Range. How does it work?
It's really interesting. I'm still waiting for it to unfold, but from my understanding, I'm the first employer who has decided that I'm going to jump in head first. And it is working with a company called Tutris, and it's putting everything in a platform sort of like a Facebook platform for childcare. And then businesses can go on that platform and buy into that, look for daycare slots and things like that, and offer that to their employees. My hope is that we just really get to offer those slots to our employees or some type of benefit so they can use for childcare, because we all know the slots are hard to find, and when you find them, they're super costly. So how do we help our employees with that so we can retain employees?
Northridge Credit Union jumped on this right away. Why did you decide that this was someplace you had to go, and how does it make you feel to be a leader in this?
As a mom, I remember the feeling of being pregnant and calling around to childcare centers, and I actually got laughed at. It's like, oh, you should have called 2 years ago, and there's a wait list, and it's absolutely terrifying. I've seen our employees go through the same situation for the last several years, and I just want to be part of that solution. I want you to be able to keep that career if you want to. It's your choice. I want it to be the parent's choice.
And that, now that you are doing that, you feel good about it?
I'm dipping my toes in it. My hope is that in a couple of years, it is a full benefit. And yes, my hope is that we all feel good about it, the community.
Thank you, Liz Pop. This is In Business, a weekly news and discussion program focused on businesses and the people and issues that run them. Thank you for joining us. This week, our topic is childcare and how it has become a critical issue for the success of large and small employers across our region. It also impacts employees making a decision between being able to work to support their families or staying home with their families. Our guests this evening are Laura Mullen. Laura is the chair of Duluth's 1200 Fund. The 1200 Fund is a city-affiliated nonprofit that started in 1985 to foster the long-term viability and diversity of Duluth's economy by providing gap financing and funding options for local businesses. Over time, the 1200 Fund has additionally evolved to include an emphasis on supporting child care in our region, as it directly impacts our workforce and Duluth's businesses' ability to thrive. Courtney Greiner is a Northern Minnesota child care provider, trainer, consultant, and community organizer. She is the executive director and owner of Minnie's Child Care and Preschool Center in Esko. She is a strong advocate for improving the current child care system. Zane Bale is the senior vice president of programs and development for the Northland Foundation. Through a variety of programs and grants, the Northland Foundation works to increase and sustain the quality of child care in our region. Thank you all for being here this evening. It's great to see you. We have assembled a wealth of expertise and opinions, and we're going to discuss in the future of child care right now. It's mentioned that the two hurdles for business and employees are access and affordability. I'd like to start with you, Zane Bale from the Northland Foundation. What is the role of your organization to partner with child care programs and across the region? But let's start with this. I did quote from Childcare Aware, Minnesota. What is that organization and what do they do?
Sure. Well, thanks so much, Ken. I really appreciate being here and with this great panel that you have today. And again, the Northland Foundation is really working to increase and sustain childcare, and we do that in a variety of ways. We do that with funding, technical assistance, planning, and partnership building, and those elements really help us support our childcare programs that are so vital to our communities and businesses and families. And we operate a number of programs to support childcare, and one of those programs is Childcare Aware. And that is a statewide program in Minnesota. It is funded by the state, the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, and it covers all parts of the state, and we serve the Northeast region with this program, which does three things. One, it is designed to help families find childcare and access childcare. Two, it provides support for quality programming, and that's through coaching and professional development and going out to really support childcare programs to support children in their learning. And third, we help navigate the childcare business startup and sustainability work through childcare startup and retention navigators. And we know childcare quality is so important because those first 5 years of life are just a one-time opportunity, and that economic impact of that early investment just continues on and on.
Laura, the 1200 Fund is also involved in this. What are some of the things that your organization does to support child care improvement?
Yes, well, absolutely. We take the business side of this, but businesses, small businesses in Duluth can't function if there's not a workforce available, and childcare is a big piece of that. We want to have businesses come to Duluth and all of the above, but if there aren't childcare slots, just like if there isn't housing, that is a huge problem. It impedes the economic impact of Duluth. So the 1200 Fund came along. Even though our primary focus is gap financing for business, we have done multiple initiatives that support childcare in this way. We've worked with the Northland Foundation and Zale many times. We did the Jump into Childcare project, which is helping the workforce get training for childcare, and that was a grant of $30,000 a few years ago. And then a $300,000 grant to them as well for the Childcare Workforce Pilot Project. Most recently, last year, under the emphasis of one of our past board members, Tara Swenson, who's a former city councilor, she really wanted to make an impact just to support the childcare facilities that exist. So we did the Tiny Steps Collaboration Grant, where we gave out $151,000 to 21 different childcare centers in the city just to help them finance anything that was causing trouble, a new dryer or a new window or whatever they needed. But it was meant to just be this gap, this place, while the bigger, broader picture of what's going on and the gaps that are happening within childcare could be taken on by a larger community.
One of your recent partnerships was with Essentia and the YMCA for a very large grant. What is that going to do?
That's one of our ongoing 1200 Fund programs, which is the Childcare Collaboration Grant. And what that's doing is they are transferring their facility, and it's just going to help make a state-of-the-art new childcare facility. But beyond that, there's larger, broader problems within the childcare system. So we're here to be the voice of business in this, but it's a huge problem, and it affects, I own multiple small businesses, and it affects it on the daily is having childcare issues.
According to Greiner, we heard that obviously this is an issue for retaining employees, recruiting employees. It's a business issue, as Laura just said. We're in a tough situation. In your estimation, are we close to a breaking point? How close are we?
I think that we've been at a breaking point for years, and the reality is providers have been hiding that for fear of, families being nervous and a lot of like the outcome of saying our businesses are broken. And the care really has been subsidized in many, many ways for years on the backs of employees who are making low wages, lack retirement, lack health care, all of those things, personal savings of providers, foundations. It's being subsidized currently, and the reality is it's been broken. So. And then you've got all of these other things happening that really are pushing us over the edge. And the fear is if we lose any funding, we will close our doors. Providers across the Northland, not just my own center, but providers across the Northland and across the state will really struggle with any loss of funding.
So funding is obviously critical. What other parts of your business are edgy?
Yeah.
And what are the solutions?
So there's a lot of regulations, and as we continue to add more and more things, the burden of administrative tasks just continue to pile up, and it starts to really create a system that just doesn't work. Okay, it maintains, it's like adding to an already broken system, and we cannot maintain the way things are currently going. And so that part is broken. We can't find the workforce because we aren't paying enough, and we can't charge families anymore because they can't afford it. These are young families starting their starting families, wanting to buy houses, new in their careers, and so charging this college tuition at when they're brand new babies, they don't have 18 years to save. And so really taking that approach of the more we invest in these young families, the better off the return on investment really is. And something has to change. We're broken, and the challenges are numerous: regulatory, financial, buildings falling apart, all of these pieces.
Zane and Laura, let's start with you, Zane. What do you think your foundation could do or is doing to address some of what Courtney
Sure.
just said?
Well, we're really working on a two-prong approach. We're working in the current system, as Courtney very clearly articulated, is a broken business model. But what we need childcare now. We have children growing today, and they're our future, and so we have to invest. And so we're doing things like working with the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development and other partners to bring funding up to help grow and sustain childcare. We're offering high-quality business consulting through our Small Business Development Program and our Childcare Navigator Program. We're offering free professional development across the region, doing programs like Jump Into Childcare that is providing CPR, child development training. So we're really trying to keep the current system stabilized, at the same time looking ahead for those longer term solutions and those innovations, and hoping that there is just going to be we need a bigger investment in childcare, and that's what needs to happen, just helping the system for the long term.
Laura, care to piggyback on that?
I mean, it's hard to say. It's a societal problem, a massive one. I have a 13-year-old, but I paid $10,000 a year for the 5 years before she entered school, and I only had one child because of that. I couldn't afford to. I think it's affecting families, and I just think it needs to be a bigger, broader, and governmental discussion.
This is In Business. Our guests this evening are Laura Mullen and also Courtney Greiner and Zane Bale. 30,000 people in Minnesota are dependent upon child care support from the federal government. Recently, the Trump administration put that on hold, cut off that funding, but a current court case put a pause to that. What happens, and what's the insecurity like, Courtney, for these low-income people that are counting on that?
Even the idea of that funding stopping is detrimental to businesses who currently don't have large profit margins, if any. And families cannot afford, that's why they get assistance to be able to access care. They can't afford it. And so what that will do, honestly, is either close doors, or only families who can afford private pay, $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 a year for children, will have access to care. And that goes back to the accessibility.
I would piggyback off that and just say, and then when there's no childcare, the workforce can't show up to work. They call into my business, unable to come. It's a trickle-down effect that affects all level of the economy, and it's devastating to our community.
Courtney, you spent this week touring area lawmakers around and showing them the inside of what you do and talking about the future. What was your message to these elected officials?
I think, well, there were lots of messages, honestly. Again, the broken system, childcare is infrastructure, and how important it is to really shift the narrative around, without it, our economies will collapse. Our community cannot survive without this, and shifting, again, that the way we talk about early educators and how important that time is between birth and 5. So we talked a lot about that, and one of the really amazing things, not only for myself, but for these lawmakers, is seeing the diverse care that is in the Northland and what's available to families and children, and letting them really be deeply engaged in the daily work of childcare providers and early educators, so that they can go off and make legislative changes to really support our systems.
So that's what they learned from you. What did you learn from them?
What did I learn from them?
Well,
they learned way more from us than we. No, I learned from. I mean, there's no money, right? And that tends to be the response to, we need investment, and what the reality is, that's what is said often. But that's not true. We just have to prioritize and value the children of our communities and those who care for them. And so that, I think I've learned that through them, and that we do have to keep talking and not sugarcoating the system, not pretending we're okay, because that's not true and it's not sustainable. So really naming the broken system, naming that childcare is infrastructure, and continuing to have these conversations.
Zane, Laura, real quickly, a last word. Where do you see the future going?
Well, my hope is, like Courtney said, we see childcare as critical infrastructure, and that we figure out how to prioritize that investment, and that we continue to support the different types of business models, the family childcare, the centers, families that have grandparents taking care of their children. We need that mixed delivery system, and to support our whole region, our rural communities that might not be able to have a center, and that we make that investment so that we, in 10 years from now, are talking about a thriving childcare world and not worrying about these short-term fixes, that there's this long-term investment and plan, and it's prioritized.
Laura, you get the last word.
I absolutely agree with what Zane said. I mean, all in all, it's just, this is a huge societal problem. As a mother, I lived it, and as a business owner, I live it in the other way when people are calling in because of childcare issues. All of the above, it needs to be addressed, just like we have from kindergarten through age 12, we have public education. The vital years from birth to age 5, we should start considering it in that way.
Laura Mullen, Courtney Greiner, and Zane Bale, thank you very much for joining us and for being part of the conversation this evening. Before we head to tonight's final story, here's a quick look at some top business news from across the region. Minnesota has soft launched the new Secure Choice Retirement Program. It's a state-mandated benefit for employers with 5 or more employees. Businesses will be required to offer retirement savings options through automatic payroll deductions unless they already have a plan in place. A helium appraisal well near Babbitt has been confirmed to contain among the highest levels of helium-3 ever recorded on Earth. The rare isotope has potential uses in national security, quantum computing, and future fusion energy. The Twin Port shipping season ended with lower cargo volumes amid mine idlings, trade deficits and shifts, and closures of major terminals. Port officials say that new markets like wind energy could help offset losses in the year ahead. House Republicans have voted to lift a 20-year ban on mining near the Boundary Waters canoe area. The measure now heads to the U.S. Senate and has sparked strong debate over jobs and environmental protection. And now for our final segment, an orange cone construction zone. We've traveled to Minnesota's glorious Iron Range, and we brought our orange cone with us because this is another orange cone construction zone. We're in beautiful downtown Hibbing, right here on Howard Street, the main drag. Now, I grew up in a small town in Wisconsin, and our main drag was the, high school truant officer. We're on Howard Street in the 400 block. These vacant buildings behind me and that empty parking lot will be transformed over the next couple of years into a 4-story mixed-use building. The Hibbing Economic Development Authority got a little start money from the IRR, but they're redeveloping this on their own as a city project. 4 stories, mixed use, 1 to 3 bedroom apartments for workforce and for middle-income families. Mixed use on the bottom, and a $24.3 million project for those 56 units of housing that will transform the downtown of Hibbing, because this is an orange cone construction zone scheduled for completion in September of 2027. We're in downtown Virginia for another orange cone construction zone. Taken together, downtown Virginia along Chestnut here on the main drag has gone through an incredible renovation project and has been doing what all downtowns want to do, which is rehabilitation. And one by one, the businesses along Chestnut have been doing just that over the last couple of years. Individual projects range from $70,000 to $120,000, some to $150,000, but when you add it all together, you see a revitalization of Chestnut in downtown Virginia. Some of the projects: the Arrowhead Bar at 412, just down the block. Northeast Technical Services, they did an expansion and a remodel. The Mako Theater got some work done. Rocks, the jewelers, they did a renovation, and it's a new location for them. 5 and Go at Chestnut is a brand new business from 2024. 321 Graphics is at, go figure, 321 Chestnut. And the Sugar Shack is right across the street from where we are now. Taken together, these projects are renovating downtown Virginia because it's an orange cone construction zone. On this week's Orange Cone Construction Zone, we took you across Minnesota's Iron Range. We started in Hibbing with a project that's just getting underway to revitalize its downtown. Then we took you to the Queen City of Virginia, where the downtown is going through a revitalization as well. We showed you some businesses that are in progress and some that have been completed by private business. We finished our tour here in Chisholm. And behind me, the expanded and improved Chisholm High School. Now, the original school that is still standing was built in 1915. This new project, which has been underway for a while, is now just wrapping up and students are starting to move in. It is an expansion with larger classrooms, more common spaces, much more resources for teachers and students, and a gymnasium that'll be home to the Blue Streaks. Now, this cost $24.7 million. It's been underway for years. The work is now mostly completed. Students are moving in. It was an orange cone construction zone, and now it's the new Chisholm High School. I'm Ken Bueller. Thanks for watching In Business. If you missed any parts of tonight's show, you can always watch it at pbsnorth.org or listen on Mondays at 5:30 on the North 103.3. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, let's take care of each other.